Evening up. I've been out of action for a couple of days. So this is the first time, I think this is the first time in 3 days that I've been on. So apologies for my absence. Right. I've got so many readings that people have requested. So what I'm going to try and do is tackle 3 requested readings in one, but they're all related anyway. So we have Karen wants to know, will we get our country back? Tessa wants to know the overall energy of the UK Labour Party and if they're going to stay 4 years. And Jennifer wants to know if we're going to have a civil war in the UK. Now, why would we have a civil war? All right, well, there's even more of a stepping up of removing of our freedoms, it seems. We've got all sorts, haven't we? I mean, every day that goes by, there's something. With all the council tax rises, and then we've heard that anybody with an Apple iPad, iPhone, any sort of Apple device, the government is seeking to gain access to all your private information, including encrypted things. And this is from this extended from this health minister who has just been sacked for some WhatsApp messages. Very silly of him to do that anyway, because if you're in a WhatsApp group, you've only got to have someone who's offended. They're going to dob you in, aren't they? Let's be honest. So how I'm going to tackle this, I'm just going to go with it and see if these cards answer or go some way to answer some of the questions, like will there be civil war? What's the overall energy of the Labour Party, and are they going to stay for the next 4 years? Right. There's all sorts. I mean, there isn't a day that goes by, and as a tarot reader, they are the gift that keeps on giving, because there's no shortage of ideas to do tarot reading. So I'm going to do, first of all, a Wisdom of the Oracle card by Colette Baron Reid, and see what we're going to get with that. Okay, let's move those out of the way a second. And for people who say they're frightened to death that the candle is going to burn the shelf, it's actually quite far away from excuse me, quite far away from the shelf. There's no danger of it. But I can appreciate that when you're watching it and on video, it looks like any moment now the shelves are going to go up with all the cards. Well, some of the cards that I own on it. So let's have a Wisdom of the Oracle card. We're looking at the Labour Party, their future, and if any of their policies are just going to send people over the edge. He's been to Southport as well. This feels really dodgy to me. This thing, because he went to Southport for some secret meetings. There's something dodgy about to come out of that. I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling uneasy about it. Maybe there's a reading in that next week over that. But yeah, there's definitely something. Between Worlds, number 3. Between Worlds. Or does this mean we're actually going to come out of, see if that flamingo, shall we say, is coming out of the doldrums and into the light again, into Technicolor. I wonder if we're on a good trajectory. Let's have a look. Three. In your work, sometimes you try things that have worked for others, hoping that you too will be successful. When this symbol appears, it reminds you that sometimes the path to your prosperity is a gamble. Win or lose, you can learn much from what comes of your wager. It's a good time to bet on your skills and talents in new and different arenas. Remain curious, and with the right combination of timing and luck, you will stumble upon something golden that will be unlike anything you've known before. So, right, okay, so here we've got a golden opportunity. Is that our golden opportunity or their golden opportunity? At the end of the day, the Labour Party have had several opportunities to actually be a party of the working people and to redress the balance of the last 14 years. But are they going to gamble and do what they're supposed to do or not? So let's have a look. What's the overall energy? Overall energy, UK Labour Party. UK Labour Party. Overall energy, please. Hanged man. Okay. So I'm wondering if they are starting to realise, and it's taken them long enough, but I'm wondering if they're starting to realise that the direction of travel that they've been going in is actually not working, and that they need to see things from a different perspective. Maybe they are starting to see it from a different perspective. Now, I do feel very, very strongly that Keir Starmer, his days are numbered as far as the Prime Minister position is concerned, because he's just brought with him so much controversy, and people are going to carry on letting this stuff out until his position is untenable. I do believe that there is an embarrassing revelation, a very embarrassing, personally embarrassing revelation to come out yet, and I think that's going to be the bullseye thing. But in the meantime, I believe that this card is trying to tell me right now that they are starting to see their position and where they want to go from a different perspective, possibly because it's just not working out. I mean, you can always have an idea of what you want, but when you get it, it might not work out just the way you want it to. You can imagine. I'm thinking, if you've been in the opposition for 14 years and you've had this idea about your policies are going to make everything so much better, and you've believed it and you've believed it and believed it, you get into power and you put your policies into action and you realise that it's just one big fuck up. You are going to be forced to see things from a different perspective. So maybe that's what's happening. That's the energy of now. Too many. Right, so what about, yeah. So what's crossing it for good or for ill is that they are starting to move on. I think they're trying to negotiate their way through some very turbulent times of their own making, actually. And I think this is what's sort of sparked the need to rethink. They were already in a very precarious position because of who they associate with and who they, because let's face it, the Labour Party, their main donors are the unions, and they've sort of cozied up to the unions and others in order to get their position. But maybe that partnership isn't serving them anymore. Well, it definitely isn't, is it? Because you've got the train drivers going on strike, even though they've just been given a whopping massive pay rise. Public sector workers, big pay rise. NHS, massive boost, and all that kind of thing. And they're sort of handing money out as if it's Smarties, and yet, the hand's still out. So maybe they're starting to see their donors and the people who prop them up now, and thinking, well, you know, in order to remain relevant, we need to be branching out and finding support from elsewhere and moving on. And I feel like that's what they're doing. It feels like this Six of Swords is usually moving on through choppy waters into calmer seas. But it also feels like a fishing exercise. I think Starmer's on a fishing exercise, and I think that's why he's always going abroad. He's going everywhere. He's fishing for support. I think in a roundabout way, that's what I've been trying to say. Fishing for support. Remove this. So, what did I say? He's on this is the Two of Wands. This is making plans. But if you also look at this card, this man's got a world in his arm, in his hand. He's standing between the two wands, which is like a portal, if you like, and he's staring out across the ocean. The overall thing is that the Starmer's main focus is what's across the ocean. He's not getting much support at home, so he's trying to branch out and find support from outside of the UK. And that's the overall energy. That's sort of the overall energy of the whole thing. It's all about him trying to glean support from outside of the party, outside of the country, in order to find some sort of popularity somewhere. So what's in the subconscious? Right. This is subconsciously. So, at the back of the minds is financial savvy. Because the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest knight in the deck, but it's also the Knight of Pentacles is also someone or an entity or a conglomerate, whatever, who is incredibly careful at where they place their money. So if you look at it in government terms, subconsciously, at the back of the mind, it's out of mind. It's not in their conscience at the moment. Their consciousness at the moment. This knight is careful. This is the sort of knight that has to have all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed before they will make a move. And it's not feeling very careful because it's in the subconsciously. It's not even in their radar about what's the word? It's not in their radar to be discerning with what they're doing with the public purse. Now, at the moment, they're doing all the activism stuff, like they're sending stuff abroad. David Lammy's making noises about reparations again for the Caribbean. There's all sorts of noises made about money being spent here, money being spent there, money being spent everywhere, but it's not the sort of money that would bring revenue back in. These are all sort of handouty type things. So there's no discernment, because discernment and business sense has been put on the back burner. Possibly because not many in the Labour Party have got any business. I don't think any of them have got any first-hand experience of running a business. And if you think about the UK as an economy, it's just a huge business, and the government would have no money if we didn't pay taxes. So everything they spend comes out of our pockets. And I don't think that's crossed the mind. I think it's starting to, though. I think they're starting to realise that you can only squeeze people so hard. But like I say, he's journeying. I mean, this Six of Swords could also be they're starting to wonder why so many people are leaving the country. The people who pay the most tax, actually. So this could also be sort of depicted by this Six of Swords. I mean, it's not telling us anything we don't already know. What's in the recent past? There we go. Recent past. The Devil is my addiction card. As far as addiction, it could be addiction to anything. It doesn't have to be the usual bog standard drugs, drink, sex, gambling. I don't know. It can be an addiction to anything. It can be an addiction to power. It can be addiction to an addiction to fame. It can be an addiction to popularity. It can be an addiction to anything. So recent past, the reason why this could even be an addiction to ideology. So in the recent past, that's created all this where we are right now, forcing Labour to see things from a different perspective and neglecting what's actually important right now is this addiction to I think it's ideology. I actually do think it's ideology. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's right at the side of the swords, the Six of Swords. And the swords is the mental realm. Philosophy, that kind of thing. But they've stuck with it. And here we are today. What is near future, please? Near future is they're going to be subject to judgment. And I know it's not the judgment card, it's the Hierophant card. But the Hierophant this Hierophant symbolizes the judicial system, teachers, lawyers, judges, politicians. And the reason why I say that, when you go into a courtroom, the judge is always sat on the top bench and there's always the wall behind him and people in front of him. When you go to a church, the vicar is usually stood at the front of the church with a wall behind him and people sat in front of him. Politicians often are stood at a podium saying their speeches. They have nothing behind them and all the people in front of them. So it feels like the near future feels like some sort of this feels like a court case. And I'm wondering if there is going to be a court case, and I'm wondering if it's got something to do with privacy. Because I've had that come to me quite a lot today. The sort of taking away people's privacy rights by going to court to secure permission to enter people's encrypted messages on their Apple computers, etc. So I'm wondering if it's because that's the next step in taking away your privacy. This is like a breach of privacy. And it's against the right to privacy. Now, we've already got issues with the right to free speech. Now we've got issues with the right to privacy. I think there's going to be some court issues, some judgment coming over the efficacy of and the legality of what they're actually doing right now. So what's beyond their control? Too many. What's beyond the control? Got the Page of Swords. Now, I said this the last time. We had this card the last time, and I don't know if it was in the same position, but we had this card the last time. This is my spy card. Often the Page of Swords can be a spy, or it can be that bitchy office person, or that nasty little piece of work that you dread going into the office to speak to, or you watch your P's and Q's around. What's beyond their control is there are spies in the camp. And I did say at the last reading that the people who are out to stop Starmer and his front bench right now are drip feeding information, and the drip feeding information that would outrage the public. But at the same time, what it's doing is it's numbing people. People be getting desensitized to all the shit that's coming out. I mean, we've had this voice coach thing, then he's done a secret visit up to Southport. There's all this privacy stuff, the right to privacy, the right to free speech, sending money all over the world, taking more money in taxes than ever before, breaking promises, an unqualified Chancellor of the Exchequer. You've got Angela Rayner as the Deputy Prime Minister. Oh, if she had another brain cell, it'd be bloody lonely. These spies are out drip feeding information. They have the dirt on Starmer. They also have the dirt on others, and they are taking down the cabinet from within. First one's gone today. One of the health ministers for his WhatsApp messages. It's coming. It's coming. Right. So we're looking at it. We're still in this process. From the last time I read, we're still in the process. It's still going ahead. But it feels like whatever happens, it's going to come down to a judgment, some sort of legal judgment. And then we've got the page of cups. So this feels like there's going to be some sort of an emotional plea. Quite, what's the word? This feels like someone who is either gay or bisexual. It feels like someone who is either gay or bisexual or whatever, gender, whatever. Not in a usual male-female 2.4 kids family type scenario. Someone who's bisexual. Oh. I think that's the next round of scandal. And rather than just say what I should be allowed to say out loud, I'm going to leave that there. There's going to be the next round of scandal is going to be something to do with someone who is bisexual. Right. Hopes, fears. Hopes, fears. Hopes. I think that's a hope. Ace of Cups. It's feeling very much as though this is the divine handing something a gift, okay? So this feels like the quantum field, if you like, has heard our strife and wishes to hand us a gift with love. It feels like this judgment, this legal decision is going to be it's going to be a win for us. It's like I don't know why I keep hearing and my cup overflows. I think it's from the Bible, but it feels very much like an offer of, it's an offer, it's an out. This is offering us an out. What's the fears then? So I think that might be, if it's a hope for the Labour Party, I think they're hoping to find some partnership with either a leader of another country or a big company or something like that. Some sort of, they're hoping for a partnership. It feels very much like it's an offer for us at the same time. So what's the fears then? This bisexual individual, and we've got an ace, we've got another ace, ace of swords. They're hoping for partnership. They're fearing the truth. Right. Oh yeah. And it's connected to this bisexual individual who is hoping to forge relationships with people outside of the UK that is going to be quite gratuitous. What they're frightened of is the truth coming out, because this bisexual person, once the truth comes out, they are stuffed. So what's the potential outcome for the Labour Party? Are they going to be out within before the 4 years is up? Are they going to be gone before the 4 years is up? It feels like something big's coming. It really does feel like it's got something to do with Southport. And we've got the two of cups. You've got an ace of cups. You've got the ace of hoping for a relationship. Hoping for a relationship. Fearing the truth. This truth that's coming out has got something to do with a relationship that this bisexual person has been involved with. That's right, okay. So it feels as though this relationship will be an issue. Okay, so does that mean they'll be gone before the 4 years is up? That feels like a retreat. This feels like a retreat. This is the Virgo card, and I think the Hermit is the Virgo card. And correct me if I'm wrong, Starmer is a Virgo. I want one more. Queen of Wands. Right. I'm wondering whether Keir Starmer's wife is going to reveal something to us. That's not telling us our Labour Party going to be gone. Let me move these and get a different deck. I'm going to get a different deck. So that's not telling us anything that's really that different to the last time I read on the Labour Party. But things don't move on that quickly anyway, because that's the energy of what's happening anyway. So the energy is not shifted. Just want to know if I've got all the cards. Oh, that's just an insert. Right, I'm doing the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot by Matt. Is it Matt Hughes? No, it's Julia Massaglia. Right, I just want 3 cards. Are the Labour Party staying for 4 years? Yes or no? Are the Labour Party staying for 4 years? Yes or no? Right. Do we have a flip over? No. Just want to know, are they staying? We've got them working. We've got them working to build. We're building something. Okay, that's not a yes or no, though, is it? Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles. Are they staying? Are they going? Are they staying or going, please? King of Wands. Five of Pentacles. So they're going to try hard to rebuild what they've smashed to pieces. They're going to try very hard. But what we've got with the Five of Pentacles is this is the poverty card. But if I'm reading it in terms of are they staying or are they going, I think they're going to stay. But because they have shot themselves in the foot that much, I think the Labour Party will be in ruins by the time they go. And no one will want to give them any sympathy for that. So I think they're going to stay for the next 4 years. But by the time they get to the general election, they won't have anything left. They will have depleted themselves so much. I do think there is a court case coming up at some point. I think they are going to get blocked with some things. I just want to know what's the other question. Let me just check. Will we get our country back? And is there going to be a civil war in the UK? Are we going to get our country back? Are we going to get our country back? We probably will, but what state it'll be in by the time we get it, who knows? Will we get that? Too many. Oh, too many. Will we get our country back? We have a Four of Wands, which that's a yes card. And we have the Tower in reverse, which is also a yes card. The Tower that way up would be it's all going to go to shit. But it's not. There is going to be no bolt from the blue. There is going to be no massive explosion, eruption, volcano. There aren't going to be people falling from buildings. We are going to get our country back, yes. And the other question is, will there be a civil war? Will there be civil war in the UK? Will there be civil war in the UK? Just two there, yeah? Okay. Civil war in the UK. Got two. Isn't that amazing? You ask about civil war, you get two sword cards. This is the thief in the night. This is walking out away from battle, a little bit arrogant, having won. I think there is going to be not a civil war, but I think there is going to be an attempt at taking over the political system that we have. It does feel like we've got quite a few battles ahead of us. Whether or not they're going to translate into physical warlike battles, I don't know from those two cards, because this can be intellectual as well as physical, because this sword, it's about the mental realm. So it's like it looks like how can I put it? This is the thief in the night card. Someone who takes away your dignity, etc. But it can also be someone who takes your possessions. So it feels like there is an attempt to take away more of our rights. This is what I'm feeling. This feels like an attempt to take a lot more of our rights, and yes, some of our rights will be removed, but it's us that are going to walk off the battlefield unscathed. But is there going to be civil war? Yes or no? Civil war? Yes or no, please? And we are going to have to. We are going through it. We are going through it, and a lot of it is mental, because we're having our money taken from us. We can see our rights being eroded. It's a mind fuck. And we've got the Chariot in reverse. So it feels like there's no path forward. There isn't it feels like stalemate. I think there's no path forward. When the Chariot's this way forward, there's a determined effort to move forward. It's a determined effort. When it's that way, there is no determined effort to move forward. So it's like we're going to be in a battle for our intellectual property, our rights, our freedoms, for truth even. But then there seems to be no appetite for it at the same time. So what's this one? Yeah, and we've got the Devil again. This is because, I get you. So there seems to be no appetite for it because because by the time this 4 years is over, people will have learned to accept the restrictions, just like they learned to accept the restrictions and stop questioning the restrictions with the incident that occurred 5 years ago. And because of that, people will get used to these restrictions and the loss of freedoms. They will get used to it and it will become part of the norm. So because of that, people aren't likely to fight over it. So they won't, it's not likely to be any kind of civil war or unrest, because people will get used to it. People are frightened to say anything now. So because people are frightened to say anything, they won't say anything, and they'll get used to not saying anything. And then over time, it becomes the norm. And even though we can get our freedom back, we can step out of the chains, we don't, because we're bound to the state. This feels very much like there's no appetite. But the majority of the population will not have the appetite to fight for it. But there will be pockets of unrest. There will be pockets of unrest. And the people who are fighting to retain freedoms, such as freedom of speech and freedom of privacy and all that kind of thing, they're the ones that will sort of triumph in the end. But then they're up against a vast swathes of the population that are happy to take the restriction. But are we ever going to go back? We're never going to go back to where we were prior to the pandemic. Never. It's never going to go back to then. We're never going to get the good old days back, but we can look forward. So, are we gonna be all right here? It takes a lot of us. It takes most of us to stand up, and then we've got the Page of Wands, but it was in reverse. But this, do you know what? This one doesn't look like the page of wands to me. This looks like somebody being rather underhand. It looks like somebody being underhand. Queen of Swords. Yeah, we're going to cut the bullshit. The Queen of Swords is a straight talking, no bullshit kind of person. And it's as an attitude, it's cutting the bullshit. As an action, it's cutting through the bullshit. Yeah, we are going to cut through the bullshit. We are going to cut through the bullshit. People will get the freedoms back. However, many people don't want their freedoms back. Lots of people like the idea that they've got this state that looks after them and watches their every move, which is quite sad, really. But that's where we are. But no, I don't think we're going to have a civil war. I think there are going to be pockets of unrest, but it's not going to be all out civil war. I think it's going to be done more on an intellectual level rather than a physical show of strength. There's half of the country fighting for it. The other half have got no appetite for it. This person, this entity, if you like, is trying to sort of carry on taking away what's ours. But then we've got this Queen of Swords. This is no bullshit. Not taking any of that shit from anybody type of person who seems to be triumphant in the end. I'm probably not making much sense. And then we've got Judgment. So we've got Judgment. It's like people will wake up. People continue to wake up every single day. Lots of people don't want to wake up because by waking up, it means that they will have to admit that they've been hoodwinked. And a lot of people are embarrassed about admitting that they were taken in. But more and more people are waking up and they are smelling the bullshit and deciding they're not putting up with it anymore. So no, there won't be civil war. So the answers to that are, according to the cards today, that's the energy of today, the UK Labour Party are going to stay in power, but they are going to limp across the finish line and probably never be in power again for a very, very long time until they get their act together. There isn't going to be civil war. There may be pockets of unrest. It feels like that, but it feels like an intellectual battle. What's the other one? I can't remember. Will we get our country back? We will. But it's for us to make our country what we want our country to be. It's for us to make sure that our kids and our grandkids are instilled with values that we would like to see maintained for generations to come. And what kind of world do you want to see? So it's a collective decision. What kind of country do you want to live in? What kind of world do you want to see? What kind of children would you like to see grow up? And what would you like those children to be left after we've gone? Anyway, that's your reading. I won't be on the I'm not setting this as a premiere tonight because I'm just life and all that. So I hope you enjoy the reading and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Ta-ra.